Hi and welcome to Tweet Street. I'm Mick Tiffany and I'm a novice lizard canary keeper and breeder. Join me on my journey as I strive to breed birds good enough for the show bench. Hello again everybody, welcome to episode 24 of Tweet Street. I'm just having a little rundown in this one, just to keep you up to date with things really. It's an update of the birds in the aviary as they are currently and what's happened over the last week. And then I've just done a clip of what's happened so far this year, because I was a novice, it's a lot of learning involved and I've learned an awful lot. So and that's what we're going to be starting with. So this is what we got up to, how we started and to where we are today. Well, we started in January. I thought it'd be a great idea to journal what I was up to. Help promote the hobby of keeping canaries. So this is my little aviary in January. The birds currently are not in the aviary outside, they're indoors. It was really cold at the time, we had some really bad weather and they were just inside trying to get some exercise, ready to go out and ready to get the others fighting fit. I went through how I built the cages using these wire ones and plastic. Once they are built, I smeared Vaseline all over the backs and the sides and the tops and all the little bits where we might get mite in an effort to keep them away, and that has worked very well. So these are the cages built. Some you can put into take the middles out, make them into some long flights, which I've done here. We then ordered some rings. This would have been about end of February, early March ready. The Brazilians, we had a bit of trimming going on. We had a bug bomb in there to kill any bugs that we didn't want. Polygonium outside in the garden started, and then nesting started in earnest. This would be the second week of March. These guys were the made me smile the most. She was putting all the material in the nest pan. He was taking it all out. If you watch that episode, that did make me chuckle. But they've raised 6 really nice chicks in 2 broods. So they've done a really good job. So that's fine. So, but they were a good pet. It was their first year, so it all went well. We got I think we got this is Mariah Carey bird playing mummy and daddies. So shortly after that, about a week after, we start getting our eggs, all the different eggs there, and then the sitting commences. The birds will sit on them eggs for approximately 14 days, and during that time it's nice and quiet. Obviously, if you've got all your birds sitting down at the same time, if the plan has gone to action, has gone to plan, you're fine. Of course, it never works like that. So while I put all the pairs together at the same time, didn't necessarily work. But yeah, they just sit there and it's the waiting game. And like I say, after 14 days, at this time we were getting some odd weather patterns here in the UK. Very warm days and nights, very cold days and nights on and off, and it did put them off a little bit. And I know that happened to several other breeders. It just depends on where you are in the country and lots of different factors really. You know, the back of my aviary is facing south, so that's where the sun comes up, so it doesn't blare through the window, so it gets over hot, and other people's might. So you know, that would make all the difference. After 14 days, little ones start hatching, and now the one thing I have learned, I lost 1 or 2 young at this point over the first few days, which happens when you're breeding birds. But after chatting to Graham, hi Graham, I've started now, and I shall probably continue this next season as well, is just for the first 6-7 days, is topping up with hand rearing food for these young chicks. Touch wood, since I've been doing that, I haven't lost 1 chick. So they've got to a stage where the parents are feeding well, and it's just like a bit of extra security. Here they are getting a little bit bigger, about a week old now. This is in April, and they are being fed and they're doing quite well. Now, We did have a slight issue outside with a pesky cat. It didn't really affect the birds inside, but it did the ones in the aviary. So we had to make a few amendments to the roof of the aviary, and that's worked. So that's got the cat away. So here we go. We've got there's Dad with some kiddies having a bit of veg. Now, as you can see, that young one's chewing on its sibling's tail. Not really ideal when you want to try and put them in a shows to have the beak marks all over a tail. So this is one of the reasons why when they get to a certain age and before they molt, I like to single them off into their own cages. Also, you'll see on the left hand side that had a grill, and that would have been a fixed panel so that the feathers don't stick through. So out the young ones went, the first batch went into the aviary. You can see how pink the legs are, which is interesting because as a lizard canary we want those as dark as possible. But obviously these are just out the nest, they're growing, they're full of little blood vessels, and they're quite pink, and they are looking really, really nice at the moment. And that's when I was out in the aviary. While that's going on, some of the other birds were late hatching. Others were looking at going on to their second brood of young. So this is where your plan of action at the beginning of the season goes out the window. You get one that's a week late, 2 weeks late, and all of a sudden it's happening all over the place. So, but it's a lovely thing to see. So obviously things were warming up in the garden. Polygonium went crackers. It grows like a mad. Now look at this one. Very briefly, sorry about that. Very dark legs, which was nice to see. You then briefly saw, very briefly, the Napoleon weavers out in the aviary. Went through their he's gone through his molt very well. I've sent off for some sort of nest baskets to see if that will get them interested, but whether they breed or not is up to them. These are some of the guys. We did lose a couple of parent birds during the season, unfortunately. These three had to be hand fed, which was nice to do. It's a bit taxing. It was nice to see, and it'd be interesting with the show because you walk past the cage and they don't flutter, whereas the other birds are a bit skittish sometimes. So that's an interesting thing. And obviously, hand feeding went to plan. Never. So yeah, absolute nightmare, aren't they? So and that was the year to date so far. A very brief history of the last few months. Very interesting. Right, so Payday came around again, and I topped up with a few bits, bought a few more drinkers, so that I can have one big bulk washing up episode rather than loads. In the garden, Polygonium was doing well, and I did show earlier a little bit of the Napoleon weaver, and there he is outside. Sorry I've had to rush this episode. There is a reason. It's just been absolutely manic in real life, and so I've had to squeeze this episode out. But I thought it'd be nice to catch up with how it's gone over the last 5 or 6 months. So he's looking awesome, and I'm just thinking, do I get some more of these so they might breed? Because I really do like them. I'll get in there. We'll see what happens. I'll just let them in the aviary. They can do their thing, but they will probably want more to do so. Anyway, inside, a lot of the birds now singled off. The 12 that are being colour fed were the first 12 that were hatched and raised this season, regardless of whether broken caps, clear caps, non-caps. First 12. These are the 3 that have been hand feeding. They're on seed now, which is brilliant. That's another one of the young ones being colour fed there, and all these others will be just fed clear water. There's Dad with 4 young, doing very well. All those young will be going out in the aviary soon. That's a male. I've got 2 male 5s off of a friend of mine, just looking after them for him for now. Raza Canary is doing brilliant. 3 lovely chicks in there. She's raising them well. These guys have had 2 chicks that are doing well. Again, these are going to be not colour fed, so they'll be looking more natural colours. That's the second 5 at the moment. She's got 2 young in there. They've been so well fed. They're enormous crops. This is Dad with another one from previous. Just the one chick that's doing well. That's one of the colour fed, and so's this one as well, from the first 12 that hatched out. This was a cockbird that was poorly. He's now not poorly. He's doing very well, but I've singled him off. He's staying there. We've got 4 more razors in this nest, and they're going to be jumping out that nest in a few days. Just to the right, she quail took her eggs away, smoothed everything down, so she's laid another batch to sit on. Good bless her. And there's the last 3 of the 12 that are being colour fed, singled off, ready to rock and roll. We'll see how that goes. These guys got 3 young. They all jumped the nest far too early, but they won't go back in. But they're looking after them, so yeah, that's fine. Mariah Carey bird was outside in the aviary, and she dropped 2 eggs. So I've partitioned her off in the corner. We'll see what happens, but they will be the last eggs laid from the birds this year. So that's where we are with the birds as a rundown. It's all going well. I will jiggle some of those around, so next time you see hopefully a lot of those birds, the young ones will be out in the aviary, and all the 12 that have been colour fed are going to be in a bank together, so I can keep my eyes on them, keep them separated, because we don't want any of that colour feed to drop into another cage or anything silly like that, so one of the naturals might pick it up. Yeah, we'll see how we get on. Like I say, we've got 12 birds that will be colour fed, young birds, and there's another 12 or 13 that won't be, so we'll be able to see the difference. That would be nice to see. And what are we now? We're first week of July. Another 4 weeks we're going to be looking at reducing the lighting down, and that'll introduce a molt, and again to the next phase. Right, there we have it. That's episode 24. Thanks for sticking with me. If you've been watching from the beginning, that's been brilliant. You've had 24 weeks of entertainment, even if it is just me waffling on. And we'll see how we go from here. So luckily with the lizards, because we colour feed and we get that molt, it extends the interest in the season. So that's what we're sort of slowly gearing up. So we're going to get some of those chicks out in the aviary, making space to single some others off, as many as we can. We can't single all the birds off ready for a show, unfortunately. Just haven't got the amount of cages. But we're going to see how that goes. I'll try and pinpoint which I think are going to be the best, and obviously I'll still have to concentrate on those. I've only got 8 show cages, so there will only be 8 show birds out of those 25, I think, lizards that we've got. So it'll only going to be 8 that I can take to a show anyway. So we'll just pick the best 8, and that will start kind of over the next few weeks, so it makes it quite interesting. So, well, thanks very much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps. I know YouTube would love you to. And it's nice for me to see things like that growing. Click a like if you like. If you've got any questions or anything else, please let me know. It's always nice to hear from you all. So take care. Have a lovely week. Hope your birds are well. And I shall see you next week. Bye-bye.